Clavicular has hit rock bottom. Well, I don't know, when is it enough? When is enough, bro? We've been talking about this guy so many times, bro. I wanna stop, but he keeps getting me views, bro. There's nothing I can do. Anyways, credits goes to AugustTheDuck for making the video again. I think he's the most guy who talks about it, but like, no. But anyways, without further ado, let's just get straight to it. Let's see what is he doing now, bro. He just did OD. He did this and that. He got knocked out on stream. What's more?
Ah, it's a tampon. Look, guys, it's a tampon.
On the
He has never seen tampon in his life or something. Why are you laughing on a tampon, bro?
list of things that I've heard about this year that have surprised me, what we're talking about today has got to be at the very, very bottom. In fact, I think I'd be far more surprised if we made it through this entire year, if we made it to January 1st, 2027, and I had not made a video on this subject. That would have really thrown me for a loop. There are some things that are just inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, somehow, some way, Clavicular has once again outdone himself. It is seriously starting to get to the point to where, like, if the stuff he was doing wasn't so bad, it would almost be comical. But unfortunately, everything this guy does is absolutely heinous, so, not a whole lot of room for humor. Recently, Clavicular, aka Braden Peters, aka the internet's favorite looksmaxer, has been sued over allegations of sexual abuse of a minor, battery, fraud, and, like, essentially illegal plastic surgery.
A minor. So, not oh my days. If he doesn't go to jail because of sexually abusing a minor now, this is just discrimination. Because you've been freed after shooting an alligator and killing someone with a Cybertruck, and now you're telling me this won't get him arrested? No, he needs to be arrested. He finally needs to go, bro. Please.
Yeah, this guy's really just speedrunning being the worst person on the internet right now. Now, at this point, if you don't know who Clavicular is, honestly, I would just cut your losses. I'd like and subscribe real quick, and maybe go follow me on Instagram so I can hit 100K, and then just turn off this video, because nothing you're gonna learn is gonna improve your life in any meaningful way. If you've gone this far without learning who this guy is, call it a win. But if you're like me and you're a sucker for punishment, basically, Clavicular is a looksmaxer who's blown up over the last year. If you don't know what looksmaxing is, essentially, it's just trying to make yourself look as good as possible, with a lot of the popular looksmaxers right now using illegal or ill-advised methods to try and achieve that, many of which we will be talking about as we go through this lawsuit. But yeah, basically he is a looksmaxer who's blown up. I feel like it's pretty safe to say that he's been one of the most talked about influencers over the last, 6 months or so, and a lot of that is due to the fact that his online career has pretty much just been controversy after controversy after controversy, with this lawsuit being his most recent notch in the belt. Now, this lawsuit was filed by a woman named Alexandra Mendoza, who's appeared on quite a few of Clavicular's streams, and like I mentioned, in this lawsuit, she's alleging sexual abuse, battery, fraud, and like an improper cheek injection, and it looks really fucking bad. I mean, a lot of these allegations have literal video evidence because Clavicular...
Now, we're going too far a bit. Abuse? Talking about some abuse? Nah, no way. No way you were going that far now.
Clavicular was live streaming while he was doing the things that are alleged in this lawsuit.
That is so
and the lawsuit
stupid.
itself is what we're going to be going through today. Instead of having to rely on news articles like normal, I was able to find the actual dockets for this lawsuit so we can see exactly what it says, exactly what the allegations are, and just go through it claim by claim. Because it looks really fucking bad. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of things that seem to be sort of...
I just want to pause the video to read number 8. Peters has repeatedly bragged about his slay maxing, which means sex with women he meets through his fame. What the hell are we? We're just making up maxing at this point. Like, what are we doing? What's actually going on in this generation? So he's not only getting a file suit or a lawsuit for abusing a minor in a really bad way. I can't say the whole thing because it's on YouTube, but the guy also, I remember he shot an alligator before in a bow, and he killed someone with a Tesla, and I don't know, when is enough now? When is it the time to take actions and arrest this man? He needs to go for good.
irrefutable because, like I said, it's just on video, and I just don't see this ending too well for old Clavicular. But there's a lot to go through. There's like 11 pages of stuff, so let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Please subscribe. Okay, so like I said, this lawsuit was filed by a woman named Alexandra Mendoza, and she's suing Braden Eric Peters, aka Clavicular. It says this is an action for damages in excess of $50,000, exclusive of interest, cost, and attorney's fees, which basically just means that they're seeking at least $50,000 worth of damages. I'm sure it's going to be more, and that number does not include what they're having to spend just to make this lawsuit happen. Now, perhaps the most important part of this lawsuit is the second point of the introduction, which states that Alexandra Mendoza, at the time of the events described below, was a minor, which obviously makes this all a lot worse for Clavicular. Now, the next page is pretty much just describing who Clavicular is, talking about how he's a looks maxer, saying about how he's bragged about his use of illegal substances, including meth, says that he's bragged about, quote, slay maxing, which means sex with women he meets through his fame, says that he's admitted that he oftentimes creates online content so he can be pursuing one-night stands, and how he refers to his one-night stands as a pump and dump. What a hero. Now, according to the lawsuit, all this started back in May of 2025 when Mendoza was 16 years old, and she was paid $1,000 by Clavicular to film videos. Apparently, she was told by Clavicular that he wanted her to be the female face for looks maxing, and that he helped her come up with and script videos. Then, after she had made approximately 4 looks maxing videos for him,
Okay, now that is crazy. Now you're paying minors money, $1,000 to be exact, just to get in a video and be the face of looks maxing. Do you like? I want to ask Clavicular a question. How does he feel? How does he feel knowing that he is older than 20? He is like, he's 19 to 20 years old, a grown man, and he's using this for his everyday life. His vocabulary is looks maxing sub 3 and 5. I don't even know what I'm saying. I feel cringe when I say that. How does he feel like?
Clavicular offered to pay for Alexandra an Uber to bring her out to Cape Cod to see him. The Uber took her to Clavicular's parents' home. His mother and his grandmother were apparently at the house, and it says with his mother's full knowledge, excessive amounts of alcohol were being served. And at the time, Clavicular was under the age of 21. It says that Clavicular escorted Mendoza to his bedroom where a computer was set up for live streaming, and inside the bedroom, she was served multiple servings of vodka and became inebriated and visibly intoxicated. Then the lawsuit claims that Clavicular had sex with Mendoza while she was knowingly intoxicated to the point where she was unable to give consent. Also, that morning, while Mendoza was asleep, she woke up with Clavicular penetrating her and having sex with her again without her consent. After this, Clavicular...
Now that is actually wild. You gave a 15-year-old, made her drunk. You made a 15-year-old drunk and you did that. Yeah. If this guy doesn't get the death penalty, I swear to God, I'm gonna crash out. You deserve a death penalty, and I'd be happy to live stream that for sure. Live streaming is death penalty, bro. Just imagine, bro. I know I'm gonna get demonetized for it, but I just seeing him, like, how? I just wanna know what the hell does he do, bro? So not only you gave her alcohol, but she was so drunk that you did this to her without her consent. And when she woke up, imagine you wake up and you see Clavicular like this on your face while hitting it, bro. Like, this is just funny and stupid, bro.
Ubered her back home, and apparently she did not see him again for 6 months, which is obviously an extremely serious claim and is probably the worst thing that's detailed in this lawsuit. What follows is details of that cheek injection I was talking about, which, I mean, you can literally watch this happen. Like, this whole cheek injection thing is probably one of the clips that helped Clavicular blow up. Like, I feel like this was a pretty popular clip for like a week. But basically, if you didn't see it, the lawsuit says that in November of 2025, Mendoza went out with a group of her friends in Miami, and they ran into Clavicular. They started talking. Apparently more talks of him helping her online presence were had, and she ended up going back to Delray Beach with Clavicular. According to the lawsuit, upon arriving to their destination, Clavicular tried to kiss and seduce Mendoza, which she rejected. He kept telling her about how he could help her with her online presence, and he took her to a bedroom where he began to live stream on Kick. He then proceeded to inject Aqualix into her cheeks in order to help her, quote, looks max. Now, if you don't know what Aqualix is, it's like an injectable fat dissolver, essentially, and it's an unregulated, non-FDA approved drug. The lawsuit claims that during the session, Clavicular stated or implied that he was acting with medical authority, including...
Again, look, men doing looks maxing and putting these on their cheeks is understandable. But, whoa, pause. Talking about cheeks, not cheeks. I pause. What the hell did I just say? Putting these on your cheeks, pause, is totally normal for men, but women, You're injecting these injections on their cheeks. Pause again. I'm talking about cheeks. Just for any online guy over here who think creep guy over here. So now for women it's kind of weird, bro. Women, they don't need it, bro. But men, some men, yeah, because it's not for more of a guy thing to do. I'm not trying to be biased with both gender. I'm just saying mostly these injection and looks maxing, all they do is for like men care about these more than women. Women just go with the natural flow. Men are like manipulated to do this, if you know what I mean.
By referring to himself as a doctor or otherwise holding himself out as qualified to perform the injection. It then lists off a bunch of facts like the FDA has warned that fat dissolving injections are not FDA approved and can be harmful. Clavicular was not a physician. Clavicular was not licensed to practice medicine in Florida. Clavicular was not authorized to inject the plaintiff with any drug, medication, chemical, or fat dissolving substance. He never notified Mendoza that he was not authorized or licensed to perform injections. She did not provide legally valid consent for Clavicular to inject her. Neither did her parent or legal guardian. Nevertheless, Clavicular still injected her multiple times. The lawsuit also claims that during the video, Clavicular stated or suggested that meth had been added to the injection mixture, and after the first injection, Mendoza appeared drugged on camera, and that she believes she may have been injected with meth or another undisclosed substance. Now, according to the lawsuit after this, Clavicular and Alexandra saw each other a handful of other times, including instances where Clavicular apparently paid bouncers to let in the underaged Mendoza into bars and purchased alcoholic drinks for her. Then, in early 2026, Mendoza signed a contract paying her $15,000 a month as a social media promoter for an online trading platform. However, apparently around this time, Clavicular began a campaign to discredit Mendoza, and this resulted in Mendoza losing her sponsorships. Now, the next few and final pages of the lawsuit are pretty much just reasserting the claims, specifically the one about the cheek injection, because that honestly seems to be the main focus of this lawsuit, which I'm gonna assume is probably because it's like the easiest one to prove. You know, it's on camera, it's filmed, but it talks about how the cheek injection constitutes an act of battery, how it caused emotional suffering and damages, and how him not disclosing certain facts about the injection was an act of fraud. Now, in this lawsuit, they're demanding a trial by jury, and the amount of damages that they're seeking is whatever the court deems just and proper. So they're not naming a specific number, which all of that is pretty common, very normal. So, I mean, I'm pretty curious to see how this all ends up playing out. Like I mentioned, it seems like the Aqualix injection is the main thing that this lawsuit is focusing on, because, I mean, the claims of battery, the claims of
Again, after seeing this, if he doesn't like end up like in jail, like if he actually manages to stream the next day or month, there's like something wrong in Florida. Like, I'm sorry, there's just something wrong, not with the state, but with some people. I'm not trying to be biased or get people to hate me. This is just crazy, by the way. This is insane, and the amount of that people are actually donating and watching him, knowing that he does that shit, is wild. We made the wrong guy famous, bro. At the end of the day, we made the wrong guy famous. There's nothing we can do about it now.
fraud, the claims of emotional damage, all that seems to hinge on the injection. And while it seems like there's really no denying that the injection happened, because, I mean, you can literally just go watch the stream, obviously we are only hearing one side of the story. Obviously, I don't really like Clavicular all that much. I feel like I've made that much pretty clear, but I feel like I've also made the fact clear that no matter how much I dislike or like a person, I try my best to not let that influence how I perceive allegations from or against that person. Now, that being said, I don't think that this lawsuit is going to end well for Clavicular, but also I don't know if a jury is really going to like fully 100% agree with how the claims of this injection are being laid out. I mean, who knows how it went down in the moment, who knows what went down behind the scenes, but again, like I said, it goes both ways. Yes, there is live stream footage of Clavicular injecting this teenager with an unregulated substance, but there's also footage of this teenager in that same live stream talking about how she wants to get rid of her fat cheeks, talking about the drug by its name, and agreeing to having this done. Now, that does not make this injection okay, and I
mean, there are some places you can find if you want to get rid of like fats, you know, because if you get rid of your body fat percentage, technically you can get rid of your cheek fats. There's doctors and professionals for it. So the fact that you just trusted some unknown professional, known streamer, I'm not saying he's unknown as a professional doctor, but he is a known streamer, it just says that it's also your fault. Have you ever heard of stranger danger? You're a teenager, at the end of the day, you still live with your parents. Like, come on, it's also your fault, but I'm not. Clavicular gets the blame, so is the teeth. Both of them.
I think that she obviously still has a lot of legal ground to stand on, but I don't really like the way that the lawsuit frames this as like one giant deception. Like it goes into detail about how Clavicular was not medically licensed and how this was done without parental consent. No shit. Like this is really my main and only complaint with this lawsuit. This idea that a 17-year-old thought that a 19-year-old was somehow medically licensed or qualified or cleared in some sort of way to do essentially what is like light plastic surgery on her in a bedroom, I can't buy into that. I'm sorry. And I think that the way the lawyers chose to frame all that is really going to end up hurting the perception of this lawsuit, because I think everything else is very solid. But again, this idea that she was like deceived into thinking that Clavicular was a doctor, I mean, come on. I have no doubt that a lot of the other claims of deception and fraud are 100% true, and that Alexandra truly was deceived. But when it comes to this, I've got to push back a little bit. I cannot buy a 17-year-old thinking that a 19-year-old was actually licensed or qualified to do something like this. Like a main point of the fraud allegations is that Clavicular failed to provide the material fact to Alexandra that he was not a licensed health.
Yo, the problem is he's 19. Like, I'm 18. Just to tell you, I'm 18. He's 19. He's older than me by a year. He's born in 2007. How do you manage to do ODs, 24/7 parties, injection, all that? Where's your dad and mom? I'm actually concerned on Clav's parents now. Where are they? How do they allow their son to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Care provider. Like, are we serious? Really? Clavicular needed to say that? He needed to provide the fact that as a 19-year-old full-time kick streamer, he had not completed medical school? Like, that just seems like we're kind of pushing this to a place where it doesn't really belong, and I think that's going to hurt the credibility of this case. I think a jury's going to hear that, and they're not going to like it. Again, none of this makes his conduct legal or responsible or something he should go unpunished for, but I mean, when you get in front of a jury and you say Clavicular committed fraud because he did not tell this woman that he wasn't a doctor, I think you're going to lose a lot of people. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, I think everything else, all the other claims are pretty damn solid, but that just stood out to me as something that was a little weird. I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Like I said, I don't see this ending very well for Clavicular, though I'm sure he'll probably just end up settling out of court, and I really wouldn't be all that surprised if one of his backers just pays it for him. This guy has so much support right now and so much pull that it's kind of absurd, and what's even worse is that, unfortunately, everything that's alleged in this lawsuit is shit that his audience is not going to care about. Really, it's stuff that they might even praise him for. So, I mean, yeah, it might hurt his pockets temporarily, but even if this lawsuit is successful, I don't think anything meaningful is going to come out of this, which is really fucked up. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Like I said, everything in this lawsuit looks really fucking bad to like a normal person, but unfortunately, most of Clavicular's fans are not super normal, so I just don't think that they're really going to care at all. Like I said, I think they're probably going to end up praising him for half of this shit, if not just all of it. If he does settle out of court, I feel like there's a good chance that it won't even end up coming out of his pocket. So I mean, other than like the victim getting some compensation, I don't think this lawsuit is going to do anything. Like, I don't think this lawsuit is going to be like the final straw for anybody. I don't think anybody was like,
now, if you think about it, there's over 64 lawsuits to go through, by the way. Not lawsuits, but like complaints to go through. If he doesn't get some kind of punishment, then like there's something wrong. Or like, I'll also not be surprised if he gets away with it, but he needs to get something. He deserves something at least, bro.
Like holding out for Clavicular, and are gonna hear this and be like, what? This guy was willing to commit a crime against a woman? I'm out. Like, I feel like everybody's sort of already made their mind up on the guy. He's done plenty for the average person to form an opinion. So unfortunately, I just don't think this is gonna affect him in any real way. What a great world we are living in. So yeah.
Again, that is actually wild. Anyways, really there's nothing much to say. I hope you guys do enjoy, and I hope you did enjoy that video, and have a great rest of your day. See you guys on the next video, I guess, and yeah, peace.